Choose your player.
You have questions, we have answers. This is Dear Duolingo.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dear Duolingo, where we answer real questions from real learners just like you. I am your host, Parker Henry, language teacher extraordinaire and senior learning designer at Duolingo. Let's take a look at today's question.
Dear Duolingo, I've been studying Spanish for a long time. How do I know when I'm officially bilingual?
That is such a good question, and actually the answer is more complicated than you might think. There is no one definition of bilingualism, and there are lots of ways to be bilingual. Let's dig into them. Generally speaking, bilingualism just means using more than one language, but that can look different from person to person, depending on your background, your environment, the skills you use most, because remember, language is not just one skill, it's actually several. It's reading, it's writing, it's speaking, it's listening. Plus, there are all kinds of other things you have to learn when using a language, like the grammar, the pronunciation, the vocabulary. So no one is really perfectly balanced, not even most bilinguals. In fact, there are many different types of bilinguals. So move over horoscopes and enneagrams and INFJXYZLMNOP. I don't care if you're a Gemini, I want to know what kind of bilingual are you. So apparently I don't have time to go over every single type of bilingual, but I've chosen a couple to highlight for you today. First are simultaneous bilinguals. These are folks who learned two languages at once. So maybe in your family you grew up speaking both English and Spanish at your house. Next are sequential bilinguals. These are people who learned one language and then later learned another. So maybe you grew up speaking Chinese at home, and then when you got to school, you started learning English. Next are receptive bilinguals, and this is really common. These are people who understand a language better than they can produce it. So when you go to a big family party and all your aunts or uncles are speaking Hindi, you can understand everything, but you might respond in a way that is most comfortable to you. Next are heritage bilinguals. These are folks who might speak one language with their family and then another in the broader community. So maybe with your siblings and with your parents, you speak Vietnamese, but then when you go out shopping or to school, you speak English. And finally are bimodal bilinguals. These are folks who use two different types of language, a spoken one and a signed one. And actually, you can fall into more than one of these categories at once. You could be a sequential bimodal bilingual or a simultaneous heritage bilingual. Really, so many of these combinations are possible. Now, if you don't feel like you fit into one of those categories that I described, but you still do your Duolingo lesson every day, guess what? You are still a bilingual. You belong to another category of bilingual, the emergent bilingual, or the bilingual to be. And as you continue practicing your language, you might switch into one of the categories that we mentioned above. And let me let you in on a little secret. There is no one secret equation for when the emergent bilingual blossoms into a different bilingual butterfly. Just keep practicing. There is no test, no badge, no final boss battle that makes you officially bilingual. Language just isn't that straightforward, and neither is bilingualism. Thank you all so much for joining us on today's episode of Dear Duolingo. I'm your host, Parker Henry. Join us next time where we'll answer more questions from real learners like you. And if you have a question for us, email us at dearduolingo@duolingo.com or leave it in the comments below. Ate logo!